Hello and greetings to everyone. We have the following questions to answer. Question 1 goes, what percentage is A. 15 of 60, B. 25 of 80, C. 12 and a half of 54. We take down solution. For question 1A, we have 15 of 60. They are asking us what percentage is 15 of 60. For us to get this as a percentage, we are going to divide 15 by 60, then we multiply by 100 over 1. This will simply be equal to, now we need to perform all necessary simplifications. We know this 0 and this 0 will strike off. 2 will go into 10 5 times. 2 will go into 6 3 times. 3 will go into 3 here 1 time. 3 will go into 15 5 times. So we'll be left with 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is simply 25. Then we are going to attach the percentage sign. It simply means 15 of 60 is 25%. We underline the answer. We go to B. For B, we have 25 of 80. For us to get this as a percentage, we are going to divide 25 by the total, which is 80. Then we multiply by 100 over 1. Next, now we need to simplify. We know these zeros will strike. 2 will go into 10 5 times. 2 will go into 8 4 times. 25 times 5 gives us 125. If we divide 125 by 4, it gives us 31.25. So 2 decimal places, 31.25. Then we attach the percentage sign. It simply means that 25 of 80 as a percentage is 31.25%. We go now to C. We have 12 and a half of 54. First thing, we need to express the mixed fraction 12 and a half as an improper fraction. 2 times 12 gives us 24. 24 plus 1 gives us 25 all over 2. Next step, we have to divide the fraction 25 over 2 by 54. 25 over 2 divided by the total 54. Then we multiply by 100 all over 1. You know this 54 here can be written as 54 over 1. Next thing, we know that for us to divide two fractions, we are going to maintain the first fraction, 25 over 2. We change the division to multiplication, the division sign. Then we invert the last fraction. In the place of 54, which is at the numerator, we are going to replace it with 1. And 1, which is at the denominator, we are going to replace it with 54. Then we multiply by 100 over 1. This will simply be equal to, we need now to perform all necessary simplifications. We know 2 will go here 1 time, 2 will go into 100 50 times, 2 will go into 50 25 times, 2 will go into 54 27 times. Next, if you take 25 times 25, it will simply be equal to 625. 625 divided by 27 will give us 23.15 to two decimal places. So this will give us 23.15 to two decimal places. Then we attach the percentage sign. It simply means 12 and a half of 54 as a percentage is simply 23.15%. We are done with question 1. Now we move to question 2. Question 2, take A. Question 2 says find the values of the following. Here we have 20% of 20,000 francs CFA. France CFA is the currency which is used in my country here, Cameroon. B says we find 80% of 120 minutes. C says we should find 5% of 10,000 meters squared. If we take A, we have to find 20% of 20,000 francs CFA. First, for us to find this, we know 20% is simply 20 over 100 as a fraction. Then we are going to multiply it by the amount, which is 20,000 francs CFA over 1. Next thing, now we need to perform simplifications. We know these two zeros, we strike off the two zeros in 20,000. So we'll be left here with 200 francs CFA. 200 francs CFA, we are going to multiply it by 20. This will simply be equal to 4,000 francs CFA. Simply means 20% of 20,000 francs CFA is 4,000 francs CFA. We go now to question B. Take B. For B, we have to find 80% of 120 minutes. This will simply be 80. 80% simply means 80 over 100. Then we have to multiply it by 120 minutes over 1. We know that this 0 will strike this 0 here. This other 0 will strike this other 0 in 80. So we'll be left with 8 times 12. 8 times 12 is simply equal to 96. So this will give us 96 minutes. 80% of 120 minutes is simply 96 minutes. Go to C. C, we have 5% of 10,000 meters squared. This will simply give us a 5 over 100 times 10,000 meters squared over 1. We know these two zeros, we strike these two zeros here. We'll be left with 5 times 100 meters squared. This will simply be equal to 500 meters squared. Now we go to question 3. For question 3, it says express the following ratios. Express the following as ratios in their simplest forms. A, we have 15 grams to 1 kilogram. We know a ratio is simply a comparison of quantities of the same kind. For A, we have 15 gram to 1 kilogram. For us to easily get this ratio in the simplest form, we need to change these kilograms to grams. We know 1 kilogram is simply equal to 1,000 grams. So 15 grams to 1000 grams. This will simply be the same as, you can write it as such, 15 grams to 1000 grams. Next, now we can express this ratio in fractional form. This will give us 15 gram over 1000 gram. Next, now we have to simplify. The grams will cancel. This gram and this gram will cancel. 5 will go into 15 3 times. 5 will go into 1200 times. This will simply give us 3 is to 200. Then we conclude, therefore 15 grams to 1 kilogram is the same as 3 is to 200. We are done. This is that ratio in the simplest form. We go now to B. For B, we have 10 kilometers to 200 meters. We know between kilometers and meters, kilometer is a higher unit of measuring distance. So we are going to change this 10 kilometers to meters. Because we know 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meters. It simply means that 10 kilometers, if you multiply both sides by 10 kilometers will give us 10,000 meters. Next, the ratio 10 kilometer to 200 meters is the same as 10,000 meters to 200 meters. You can see the two quantities now, they have the same unit. Now we can express it in the fractional form. This will be the same as 10,000 meters all over 200 meters. The meters will cancel. We know that we divide 10,000 by 200. This will simply give us 50 over 200 divided by 200 gives us 1. We're expressing this now in the ratio form. This will give us 50 is to 1. Here we conclude, therefore 10 kilometers to 200 meters is the same as 50 is to 1. Underline the result. In the simplest form, it is simply 50 is to 1. We go now to C. For C, we have a speed of 36 kilometers per hour to 20 meters per hour. First thing, we know the kilometers per hour is a higher unit of measuring speed to meters per second. We need to start by converting this 36 kilometers per hour to meters per second. First, we know that 1 kilometer is simply equal to 1000 meters. Next, we know that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. Next, we know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. For us to get the number of seconds in 1 hour will simply be equal to 60 times 60 seconds. This will simply be equal to 3,600 seconds. Next, 36 kilometers per hour will simply be the same as 36 times 1000 divided by the 1000 times 1000 meters divided by 3600 seconds. This will simply be equal to, if we take 36 times 1000, this will give us 36,000 meters all over 3600 seconds. This will simply be equal to, if we simplify, this will give us 10 meters per second. Next thing, now we know 36 kilometers per hour to 20 meters per second is the same as 10 meters per second to 20 meters per second. Next, now we are going to express it in the fractional form. This will give us 10 meters per second to 10 meters per second over 20 meters per second. Meters per second will cancel meters per second. The zeros will go. This will simply give us 1 over 2. Writing it in the ratio form, this will give us 1 is to 2. We conclude, therefore 36 kilometers per hour to 20 meters per second is the same as 1 is to 2. 9, the simplest form of that ratio. Next, now we go to question 4. Question 4 says the ratio of the length to the width of a room is 5:3. Find the length of the room given that its width is 18 meters. We are going to denote the length by using L and the width by using W. So we have been told that the ratio of the length to the width of a room is simply equal to 5:3. It simply means that if the length is 5 units, then the width will be 3 units. So we have been told that the width of that room, is equal to 18 meters. We have to find the length of that room. First, we need to find the length of one part, because we know that here if we sum this ratio 5 plus 3, it would be equal to 8. That means we have 8 parts. So we need to find the length of one part, or the length which is being represented by one part. So in this case, we have been told that the width of that room is 8 meters. We are going to divide this 8 meters by 3. I'll write this down. Length of one part, because in total we have 8 parts. So if you have 8 parts, 5 parts will go for the length, 3 parts will go for the width. So the length of one part will simply be 18 meters divided by 3, which this will simply be equal to 6 meters. Now we can easily get the length of that room. So the length of that room now will simply be equal to length of room. For us to get the length of that room, we are simply going to multiply the length of one part by 5. We are going to take 5 times 6 meters. This will simply be equal to 30 meters. You can say if we take the length of that room, the ratio of the length of that room to the width is the same as 30 meters is to 18 meters. Next, if we are to simplify, let's write it down in the fractional form. 30 meters over 18 meters. This will be equal to, the meters will go, 6 will go into 35 times, 6 will go into 18 3 times. This will simply be the same as 5 is to 3, which is true. We are done with question 4. Now we have to go to question 5. Question 5 goes, Parafosu shares 2 hectares of land to 3 children. The children, we have Wanka, Foche, and Ako in the ratio 2 is to 3 is to 4. Find, question E, the quantity of land each child receives in meters squared. Question B, the percentage of land received by each child. Question C, the eldest child, given that he receives the smallest portion of land. Question 5. We have told that Parafosu shares 2 hectares of land. Let's write it down. Shares 2 hectares. We need this information of land to 3 children in the ratio 2 is to 3 is to 4. Okay, this ratio simply means out of the 2 hectares of land, the first the first child Wanka will receive 2 parts, the second child Fuchi will receive 3 parts, and the third child Akko will receive 4 parts. That's what it means. So we have to find the quantity of land each child receives in meters squared. First thing we need to find the sum of ratio. Sum of ratio. The sum of ratio simply equal to 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is equal to 2 plus 3 gives us 5. 5 plus 4, 9. Next thing, we have to write down the fraction of each child. We start with the fraction of Wanka. Fraction of Wanka will simply be, out of the 9 things, Wanka will receive just 2. 2 over 9. We need the fraction of Foche. Fraction of Foche will simply be equal to, out of the 9 things, Foche will receive 3. 3 over 9. Then we need the fraction of Akko. The fraction of Akko, out of the 9 things, Akko will receive 4. 4 on 9. Now we can easily answer the questions. It says the quantity of land each child receives in meters squared. We know that 1 hectare is equal to 10,000 meters squared. So 2 hectares will simply be equal to 20,000 meters squared. The first person, quantity of land received by Wanka. It will simply be equal to, we are going to take its own fraction, which is 2 over 9. Then we multiply it by the total area of land, 20,000 meters squared. or 1. This will simply give us 4,444 point. Let's give it to two decimal places, 0.44 meters squared. So this is the portion of land received by one car. Next, we go to quantity of land received by the second child. Quantity of land received by Oche is simply equal to, we are going to multiply the fraction, Oche's fraction, 3/9 by the total portion of land, which is 20,000 meters squared over 1. This will simply be equal to, we know 3/9 can be simplified. This will give us a 1/3. So we are simply going to divide 20,000 by 3. So this will give us 6,666 point. We are going to give it to two decimal places, 0.67 meters squared. This is the portion of land received by Fuji. Next, we need to get the quantity of land received by Ako. This will simply be equal to, we are going to take its own fraction, which is 4/9. Then we multiply it by the total land surface, which is 20,000 meters squared per 1. This will simply be equal to, we are going to multiply 20,000 by 4, which gives us 80,000. Then we divide the 80,000 by 9. This will simply be 888.89 meters squared to two decimal places. If we sum the portion of land received by Wanka, Fuche, and Ako, it will be approximately 20,000 meters squared. Now let's go to question B. Question B says we should find the percentage of land received by each child. So we need to get the percentage received by each of them. We just start for the first child. Percentage received by one car simply equal to, we are going to divide the quantity of land he received by the total quantity of land. We're going to divide 4,444.44 meters squared by 20,000 meters squared. Then we multiply by 100 over 1. You see that these two zeros will strike off, these two zeros here. Meter squared will strike off meter squared. We are simply going to divide 4,444.44 by 200. And this will simply give us, we're going to give it to two decimal places, 22.22%. We attach the percentage sign. This is the percentage of land received by one car. Next, now we need the percentage of land received by Fuche. Percentage of land received by Fuji simply be equal to, we are going to divide his own quantity of land received, which is 6,666.67 meters squared by 20,000 meters squared. Then we multiply by 100 over 1. So this will simply give us, we know meters squares will go off, these two zeros will go off. We are going to divide 6,666.67 by 200. This will give us 33.33 to two decimal places. We attach the percentage sign. So this is the percentage of land received by Fuji. Next, now let's find the percentage of land received by Ako. Percentage of land received by Ako simply be equal to, we're going to divide his own quantity of land received, which is 8,888.89 meters squared by 20,000 meters squared. Then we multiply by 100 over 1. Meter squares cancel meter squares. These zeros will go. We are simply going to divide 8,888.89 by 200, simply equal to 44.44 to two decimal places. Then we attach the percentage sign. And we go now to the last question, C. Question C says the eldest child. We have to find the eldest child given that he receives the smallest portion of land. For us to get the eldest child, we are simply going to look at the quantity of land each of the three children receives. You will see that one guy receives 4,444.44 meters squared. Uche receives 6,666.67 meters squared. And lastly, Ako receives 8,888.89 meters squared. You notice that Wanka receives the smallest portion of land. Therefore, Wanka is the eldest son. Let's write it down. Wanka is the eldest son. Since he receives the smallest portion of land. We are done with the correction of the questions. If in case there are any doubts, make sure you ask your questions at the comment section.